Hi there, and welcome to Pilates with Jessica Nelson, brought to you by the YMCA of Greater Michiana. So we're going to start today with ourselves standing on our mat, finding our feet lined up right under our knees, hips stacked over those knees, ribs stacked over the hips. I like to roll those shoulders back and down, and maybe just kind of loosen up the neck a little bit and find that earlobe right over the tip of the shoulder. And let's take a few breaths together. So we're going to inhale through the nose as the arms come up overhead, and exhale through the mouth as the arms come down. Let's do 2 more of those. Inhale up and exhale down. Last one here. Inhale up and exhale down. All right, let's get some moving. Let's create some heat in that body to warm up the muscles, and then we'll get to work. So what we're going to do first is just kind of loosen up the hip joints. So let's first start by pointing and planting our big toe into the mat, which gives us this bent knee, and the standing leg is nice and tall, but we're not locking out that knee. So from here, we're just going to open and close, just like a hinge right here at the hip. So we're just kind of finding that motion, finding out what's moving in the body. Are we getting some weird stuff happening? Just kind of make everything else quiet and just open and close that hinge. Once you got that motion down, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pick that leg up into a chair top marching position, and we're going to open and close from here. If you've got some balance issues, maybe find something to hold on to, or maybe don't bring it up as high. Maybe you're just kind of floating it up. So find where you are right now. And just want to loosen all these muscles up here and get them warm. A couple more here, and then we're going to get fancy. So now that we've got that down, we got the balance working for us, we're going to turn this into like a flying figure 8. And so that looks like where we're just making a nice figure 8 or infinity symbol right from the hip. Trying to keep all the rest of this stuff still and quiet. Obviously, I'm not doing the greatest job, but you get what we're trying to do here, right? All right, so we got that down. If we can't laugh at ourselves and have fun, what's the point? All right, let's do that on the other side. So we're gonna pop that toe up. We're just gonna open and close. All the while breathing, not locking out that knee. Just getting the motion down first, and then finding our way to floating that leg up and finding that opening and closing motion right from the hip. Just paying attention to what's going on in the body, letting go of any thoughts about what am I going to do today, how much work is on my plate, all that stuff. Just let it melt away for now. And then we're going to turn this into our little flying figure 8, right? So we're going to get fancy. For all you dancers out there, this is old hat, no big deal. For the rest of us that don't dance, it takes a little bit more mind-body coordination. Okay, we're done with that. All right, so let's go ahead and do something that most of us can do with not as much challenging coordination there. We're just gonna march. So we're just gonna find a nice marching motion with our legs. I have a feeling this is gonna be a lot of laughing out loud with myself today. Hopefully you get a chuckle out of it too in your workout. So if this is feeling pretty good, starting to feel that heart rate come up, maybe you take it up into a higher chair step march here. Letting the arms wave, whatever's natural with it. We're going to add those arms here with it just a minute. Let's go ahead and take those arms up overhead as we continue to march. And we're going to chop those arms down. So it's a chop, 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 chop. Here we go. Anytime we take those arms overhead, the heart's got to work a little bit harder to pump the blood so we can elevate our heart rate a little bit, get things moving. Let's do one more on each side. And we bring that back down. Settle it back down to quiet. And let's just kind of rotate at the torso. Let the arms freely go side to side. Catch your breath if you did a little bit of extra work there. We don't want our heart rate so high when we bend over and forward fold, so we're just going to get it back down a little bit. And then find our way to the back of the mat. Plant those feet firmly in the ground. Find that nice tall posture. We're going to sweep the arms up overhead on an inhale, and on an exhale, roll that body all the way down, letting your arms hang, your head hang. Whew. And just enjoy that forward fold. Feel the stretch all along the back side of the body. Let's go ahead and push our belly button to our spine to restack those vertebrae one at a time. Coming back up to standing slowly. And we'll take that forward fold one more time. Arms come up overhead. Head's a heavy sinker. Scoop that abdomen out as we come on over. Rolling down. And let's walk the hands to one side of the body. And just feel the opening on the side. So it's a nice big side stretch there. And then walking the hands back through middle, let's walk them to the opposite side of the body, opening up that side. All the while connecting to the breath, being here in this moment, appreciating the able body that you have that allows you to enjoy this workout this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in your day. Let's go ahead and walk those hands out to be in a tabletop position. So all fours here, knees are under the hips, wrists are under the shoulder, fingers are spread wide for stability, long line from head to tail. In this position, we're going to go ahead and do our cat-cow. So classic stretch in yoga. It's adaptable to be used everywhere, and it's really good because it's you can get that whole body work in. So pushing away from the earth into those hands, we're going to go ahead and take this head and this tail and tuck them under our body and let the spine arc like a big, beautiful rainbow. So let's go ahead and inhale and tuck it under. You might want to exhale. Actually, whatever you like. I'm not here to tell you how to breathe. I'm just here to remind you to do so. All right. And then on the next inhale or exhale, whichever pattern you picked, the head and the tail are going to try to meet each other behind you, and the belly sags low. So this is our cow, big old saggy cow. And then we go the opposite way. And we got our cat. Each time is an opportunity for you to take a self-assessment about where are you getting the biggest extension. Is it in your mid-back, your low back, your upper back? And then when you flex and round, where is it arching the most? And always try to push into just a nice stretch that gives you a full body stretch, either front or back. I'm rambling here, folks. Bear with me. It's been a crazy month, all locked up indoors, but we're getting through it. I hope you are too. One more in each direction. And after this last one, we're going to settle into a nice long neutral spine. So here we are in our big tabletop position, and we're going to just add a waving cat. So what that looks like is we're going to keep our bony hip points pointing down to the mat, and we're going to twist right here at the torso, right at the bottom of the rib cage, and we're just going to open up to one side and then bring it down and open up to the other side. It's not a big motion. Don't force yourself into it. Don't twist and get yourself kinked in the neck or shoulders or anything. Just make it gentle. We're just opening up that rotation in the spine. So when we do oblique work, it's not a shock. We're already ready for it. One more on each side. Last one here, and we're going to bring it in. We're going to bring those feet together behind us, maybe spread the knees a little bit wider. Take those hips back over the heels. Hands reach out long in front of you. Forehead comes to the mat. Flip the palms to the sky if you want to take some pressure off those wrists. And just take 2 deep breaths here. All right, let's go ahead and transition and get ourselves lying on our backs. So what we want to do from here is just activate this core so that way we can make sure that we're going through the rest of our movement sequences safely and effectively. So the first thing we're going to do is ask kitty to move. There you go. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of anatomy lessons so that we're all talking the same lingo. So we've got the pelvic floor muscles. Those are the muscles that we use to cut off the flow of urine. They kind of come in from the left and right, and they come in from the front and back. So I want you to think about bringing all those muscles in on the pelvic floor and just hugging them in such a way that it's a gentle engagement. We're not squeezing for dear life here. So squeeze in, hug in that pelvic floor. That's step one. Step two is you have this beautiful corset muscle that wraps all around your waist called your transverse abdominis. And I want you just to kind of hug it in like a belt so you can feel your waistline cinch in, your sides kind of come in, and it's a nice hug all around the waist. So you've got your hug engagement in the pelvic floor, you've got your transverse abdominis wrapped in, belt tightened just enough to keep you safe, but able to breathe, able to move. And the last thing that we're going to engage as we do a little bit of movement here is that rectus abdominis. That's our six-pack muscles right on the front of our bellies. And so that's going to help us tilt and tuck and all that stuff that we hear about in the world of fitness. But I want it to be a gentle engagement where we're going to roll those hips up toward us. So hug in the pelvic floor, cut off the flow, cinch up the waist a little bit, and now I want you to, just like you were going to do a reverse crunch, so I want you to bring those hips like you're trying to bring them up to your face. And so you're going to feel the front of your abs engage when you do that as well. So now you've got your lower back made connection with the mat, whereas before there was a little gap there in the low back. Now it's all kind of a nice, beautiful, solid powerhouse. That's what we call our core in Pilates. Go ahead and let that go and take a breath. Now that we've got that little anatomy lesson down, we know what to engage. So when I say engage the powerhouse or engage the core, that's what we're talking about. So we're going to pelvic floor, transverse hug, rectus abdominis, lower back comes to the mat, and we've got a beautiful stability in the trunk. So just go through that a couple times. On the exhale, let it all go and release everything. And on the inhale, hug them all in and engage that powerhouse. And let go. One more, hug it in, and let it go. All right, now that we know what to do with that bottom section of our powerhouse, we got to get the upper part of those abs working for us too, and because we do a lot of things where we roll up into this ab curl with our upper body. So go ahead and hug all that stuff in the lower part of the trunk, so have your engagement happening. Hands come behind your head, you can see your elbows in your peripheral vision. You got about a little cutie clementine orange size between your neck, your chin, and your chest. And you're going to keep a nice long spine. Now you got all this engagement happening right here, you're working. Then I want you to float the upper body up into a tiny little ab curl. This is an ab curl. You should feel it right here along your core and not like you're pulling on your neck. The neck should feel just nicely nestled in your hammock of hands there, and all the work is right here. So go ahead and bring that back down slowly. Let's do one more. Engage the powerhouse. Float the upper body up. Gazes out over those knees. Maybe you're shaking a little bit. I am. I do this stuff every day, but I still get this shake. So do not think that means you're not doing a good job. That means you're doing a great job because you're engaging these muscles so that you can work them effectively. Bring it back down. All right, we're going to add to this. So engage that core, float those legs up into this position where the knees are up over the hips and bent. Then we're going to come up into our ab curl, and holding it here, we're going to take these toes and tap them down to the ground with a bent knee, and then we're going to tap the other ones down with a bent knee. If you find that once you get to this position, you feel this arching in your spine, that means you've gone too far or you're not engaging this enough to give your stability. So maybe you just go right here in your little marching motion, or maybe you dial it in a little bit more in your core. Either way, find your stability in your trunk so that way you can do your little marching steps here. One more on each side. And then bring those feet down. Upper body comes back to the mat. Stretch the body out long both ways and get a little bit of a relief. We did a little bit of work here. We're starting to feel it heat up and sizzle, right? That's what we want. We need that power. All right. Now that all that stuff is actively engaged and ready to go, we're going to come right into our Pilates series of 5. So what that looks like is 5 different movement sequences with various number of sets. I'm going to cue you for both the full version and a modification. So that way, if you're not ready to do the full version, then you take the step where you are now, because we don't want to get you discouraged or feeling like you can't achieve this, because you can. So just stick with me and we'll get there together. So the first one's called the single leg stretch. And so all that we just did in that little core activation segment is what prepares us to get into this position, the starting position. So we're going to hug in our core. So we've got all that engagement around the midsection, float those legs up into that tabletop position, float up into our ab curl. The full version of this is going to look like one leg's going to come in, and we're going to kind of take and just hug it in with the knee, with our hands, and then we switch. That's one. If this is too much for you, this upper body stays down on the mat and it's just the legs. We're going to do 8 sets. So you pick the version that you are ready for today. Come on up to starting, wherever that is. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Hug it in, bring it down for a second. You'll notice there wasn't a lot of rocking and rolling or flopping around because we had that core engaged to keep us stable for that movement sequence. Let's go to the next one in our series of 5, which is the double leg stretch. You guessed it, we're going to come up into that starting position that we already know so well, hugging in the core, legs into tabletop, floating into ab curl, and we kind of curl into a little ball. And this one looks like this. So we shoot our legs and our arms away, and then we sweep them around, and that's 1. If that's too much, what do? Upper body stays down. So then you can come here and do this. If that's still too much and you're feeling this weird like pulling thing happen, maybe you keep the legs stable and you work on the upper body for this one. And you're here. So we've got a couple options here. So whatever option you're going to take, let's all start together. And we're going to just do 6 of these. So we're going to hug it in, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. Let's bring it back down to the mat gently. Stretch out long both ways for a second. And get ourselves set up for the third one, which is the single straight leg stretch, which looks like a big pair of scissors with our legs. So I'm sure you already can preemptively guess where I'm going with the modification. The upper body would stay down and the legs would come up into this nice long line of the legs. Core is engaged for stability. This right here is a lot of work. You can come on up into that ab curl, and as one leg goes away, the other one comes closer to the face, like you're trying to bring that knee to your nose. And one snip is 1 set. So you can make the snips smaller if you need a little less, if you need to modify. You can make them bigger to challenge yourself, trying to bring this nose to this knee to the nose, or you can keep that upper body down. So pick your option. Let's all get set up to do it together. We're going to come on up, and we're here for 1, 2, like you're trying to rub those inner thighs together. 4, 5, we're doing 8, 6, 7, 8, hug it in. Whew. 3 out of the 5 are done. We only got 2 more to go. All right, so the next one is the double straight leg stretch, and I am going to take the modification for this one. I will show you the setup for the full version, but I have low back issues, so I'm going to protect my back on this one. If you were going to go ahead and do the full thing, you'd bring both legs up to the air. Of course, you've got that core engaged. Flex those feet, glue the legs together. Upper body's in your ab curl, and you're going to lower it a couple inches, wherever you can keep that low back glued to the mat, and then you bring them back up to the starting position. Because my low back tends to nag me with that one, I'm going to make a little diamond in my hands, and I'm going to put them under my tailbone. And that's going to give me a little bit more of a tilt on my pelvis to keep my low back safe. So in this position, what I want you to be mindful of is don't let your shoulders kind of curl up if you're here, keeping your upper body down. Keep the collarbones wide. And here we go. I like to do it by flexing the feet and just going away a few inches first and noticing where it starts to tug on my low back. and then bring it up, engaging the lowest of low abs. And then each time, maybe I try to get it a little bit farther away. We're doing 6 of these. That was 2. And 3. And 4. All this work does is helps keep us stable. It helps train our core. That was 6. We're gonna bring it in. Hug it in, roll side to side. When we have a strong core, a strong powerhouse, it protects our low back. It helps us defy gravity, staying upright. It trims the waistline, which is never a bad side effect. It just helps keep our body working more efficiently and safely. So it's work worth doing. It's challenging, I know, but I promise you're gonna feel so much better in your body every day once you start to feel the results of this work. So if you're keeping count at home, we're on the last one, which is crisscross. So there's a couple options here. We're gonna come into our setup. Abs are engaged, legs float up into our ab curl. So you can keep those legs right there where they are, and you can just do the work in the upper body, which would look like this. You're gonna peel your right back ribs, or left, whichever, off the mat and twist the torso, just like we did in waving cat, and then come back and then twist and peel in the opposite direction. If that's easy for you and you're like, whatever, what I want you to do then is add the legs and see if that's a little more challenging for you. So one leg's gonna shoot away as the other knee comes to the chest, just like in single leg stretch, and then we add that twist like that elbow's trying to reach for the knee that's coming to you, the opposite one, and then we go in the other direction. Whichever one you pick, make sure you can do 8 of them, please. 8 sets, so each side is 1 set. I'm gonna go for it with you guys and see if I can do the full thing. So here we go. Coming on up, starting position, and here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Whew. Bring it on down, stretch it out. Take 2 deep breaths here. Feel that nice long stretch all along the front of the body. All right, we're done with that focus on the core. Let's go ahead and open up our shoulders before we flip on over to our bellies. So to do that, we're gonna do some pinwheels. So roll to your side. Have your knees bent, just in a comfortable position. This bottom arm's gonna come out long in front of you, and if you have a pillow here to protect your head or your neck. Otherwise, just kind of nestle it there. And this top arm is gonna go to meet that bottom one. And I want you just to take that hand and rotate it up toward the ear, so your biceps by your ear. And right here, notice, does your palm want to flip as the arm comes behind you? Let it naturally find that rotation. Feel the opening of the shoulder joint as you come around. And we're just gonna do 3 big circles here in this direction. And then we're gonna do 3 circles in the opposite direction and then move to the other side. My goal here, and the reason that I insert this sequence right here before we move on to back extension work on our stomachs, flip it in the other direction so the arm comes down to the hip first and back around and through, is that if we can open these shoulders and this upper body before we do this, it's gonna give us a little bit more extension, and we're not gonna be so rigid when we peel up off the mat in our swans and our rockets and our swimming, which is what's on the menu for today. I'm talking a lot, so take this moment to take a break, reconnect with the body, and let's flip over and do that on the other side, and then we'll switch to lying on our stomachs. So flip on over, find those knees in a comfortable position, arms out long in front of you. Same sequence here. So we're going to take that arm up over the head, opening the shoulder. Hopefully you don't have a lot of obstacles in your path here. If you do, just scooch on out of the way. Find a place that's comfortable for you. One more in this direction. All right, let's take it in the opposite direction. So now the hand comes to the hip, back around. Don't push it too far. If it doesn't naturally want to go behind you, just open it to where it feels like you're getting a nice stretch right through the arm here, through the shoulder. One more in this direction. All right, let's go ahead and flip on over to our stomachs. Face down in the mat. Go ahead and just take your head one side or the other and get a neck stretch to start with. Take this moment to connect with your breath and your body. Walk the legs away from your trunk. Make your body nice and long. Find even distribution between the ribs and the hips. All right, let's turn our nose into the mat. Take our hands and put them up here just above our shoulders. And so now that we feel a lot more opening in those shoulder joints, let's work on getting ourselves into a swan position. So before we just peel on up, I want you to think widen the collarbones so you naturally feel this opening in the shoulders. Then I want you to think make your chest reach for the front of the mat. So open shoulders, reach longer. And now, as if you were a sticker, somebody's going to come and peel you from the top of your head up off that mat, up into a little baby swan. The neck stays in line with the back. It's not looking up, it's not hanging down, but just nicely in line. And then we come back down to the mat. Let's do 3 or 4 more of those. So as you need the hands there for support, keep them there. Once you get this movement sequence down where you feel the nice length and then back engagement, let those hands start to float up with you. You might find that you don't get as high up, and that's okay. Just come up where you can. And down, keeping those legs nice and long behind you, connected to the whole body. One more here. Just coming up as high as you can. That's comfortable. Maybe a little uncomfortable. You're building muscle here, but never into pain. And then bring it down. Turn your head in the opposite direction than what you did when you first came down. And get a neck stretch on that other side. All right, the next thing we're going to do is called rockets or flight. And what that looks like is these hands come around behind you. So now they're down here by your hips and the palms are up toward the sky. Nose is pointed down to the mat. Collarbones are spread wide. A lot of energy right now, and those legs are walking out away from you very far. Now at the same time, we're going to float the quads up off the mat and peel that upper body up off that mat and feel like we're being shot out of a cannon and there's lots of energy from head to tail. And then bring it all back down. We're doing 3 more of those, folks. Come on up. And down. Pick a breathing pattern. Inhale one way, exhale the other. And down. 2 more. And down. Last one of these, guys. Here we are. It's the best one. Reach. And come on down. Turn your head one way. Bend the knees. And just windshield wiper them side to side. Get some relief off that low back. All right, we got one more set here while we're on our bellies. And then we'll transition to all 4s again. So in this position, we've got our tummy making the connection with the mat. Hips are kind of anchored in, but they're not pushing in hard. They're just there to anchor us. Hands are going to come out to either end of the front of your mat. Feet are nice and long on the opposite ends of your mat. If your shoulder blades or your shoulders feel like they came up into your ears, slide them back down. And from here, I want you to take your left hand and I want you to root it into the ground and plant it there, and it's not going to move. In fact, you're going to push into the ground with that left hand. You're going to take the top of your right foot and do the same thing. So now you have a long diagonal pair where there's lots of energy pushing into the earth below you. And then you're going to float the opposite pair up, feeling like someone's pulling you in opposite directions. It's not about height, it's about reach. Bring it down. We're doing 8 of these. 2, 3. Keep that engagement in the planted pair, folks. 4, 5. Whole body workout here. 6, 7, and 8. Shake that out for a second, whatever you need to take some relief, and we'll set ourselves up for the other side. I love this exercise because I feel like it's so efficient. So much work going on in the body. All right, so this time we're going to plant that right hand, left foot, excuse me, pushing them into the earth. The other free pair float up and reach. That was 1, 2, not holding our breath, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. Slowly get yourself situated so you can push yourself up through to child's pose. Take some relief off that low back. We did a lot of work in a short amount of time on that back. Pass those hips back. Stretch out long. Take a couple deep breaths. When you're ready, come on up to all fours on your mat. And we're just going to do an opposite arm and leg reach. We're not going to have any fancy things. It's just going to be a lift and lower when we do this. So finding that beautiful tabletop posture, wrists are under the shoulders, fingers spread wide, knees under the knees, knees under the hips. Nice long line from head to tail. We're going to do that opposite pair business again. So right leg this time is going to stick out. Left hand goes out, and we're just going to lift and lower, lift and lower. As you do this for 8 counts, make sure that your trunk stays stable. You didn't have a dip in the hip or the shoulder coming down when that pair came away, but nice, long, stable body. 2 more on this side, and bring them under. And set ourselves up for the other side. So left leg's going to go out. Hip didn't dip, right? It stays nice and stable. Right arm, and we lift and lower, lift and lower for 8. If there were a tray on our back with our favorite china setting, right? All of us have china sets anymore, right? Oh my goodness. Then it wouldn't tip over. It wouldn't spill our beautiful hot tea on us. It would be beautifully stable as we go through this movement sequence. 1 more. And there we are. Sit back, roll those wrists, and get some relief on those. And we're going to move into some Pilates push-ups. So join me standing, won't you? Okay, so here we are at the back of our mat. And I'll show you what one looks like first, and then we'll do 3 sets together. So Pilates push-ups consist of first coming on up with the hands overhead, coming into that roll down position like we did in our warm-up, walking the hands out into a plank, and at the bottom we pick whatever option we want to challenge our upper body for 5 counts. So that can be holding this plank for 5 counts, it could be a knee plank, it could be an elbow plank, it could be a tricep knee push-up, whatever variety is your choice down there, you pick it. And then when you're done with your 5 counts of whatever, what you do is hike those hips up to the air and then walk those hands back, all the while staying within the bumpers. Your hips do not go side to side. They stay right in line as you walk it out. So that was your preview. Now let's do it together. So we're going to do 3 sets with 5 counts at the bottom. Inhale up, roll it down, walk it out. Take your option here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hike those hips on up. Walk it on back. Unroll that spine. 1 set's in the books. Let's do number 2. Rolling it down. Walking it out. I'm going to do some knee push-ups this time for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hike the hips. Roll it on up. One more here. Roll down. Walk it out. Pick your option for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hike those hips for the last time in this series. Walk it on back. Restack the spine one bone at a time. And there we are. Pilates push-ups, check. And we're gonna move on to lower body next. So get yourself situated and meet me down at the mat, lying on our side. So we're gonna come on down, lying on our mat. Bottom arm is underneath us as our pillow, extended long. We're gonna feel like the knees can be bent, the bottom knee can be bent for if you need extra stability. If you already feel like you've got the power, then you can extend both legs away from you. What I want you to be able to do is imagine that you have some little blocks stacked up in front of you and a tower of blocks stacked up behind you, and you don't want to knock those blocks over. You want to keep your hips stacked one on top of the other. So if that imaginary block tower just made you realize that you need to take that knee, go ahead and take that knee. I'm going to go ahead and do that too. I like to start with my hand, my top hand on my hip, just to make sure I'm not kind of doing this side crunch. It's not a bad thing, it's a good workout, but that's not what we're trying to do here today. What we're trying to do is work the legs. So I kind of put my hand here on my hip to remind me to keep that hip quiet. And then we're just gonna lift a couple inches and lower a couple inches, nice and slow. If you need more stability, this hand can come out in front. All right, here we are. Real easy to start with, but we'll continue to build. We're gonna do 10 lifts. We've got 3 done already. Resist it coming down. It's like you're moving through wet concrete. One of my favorite teachers always used that imagery, and I thought that was just perfect. Lifting and lowering, we're halfway there. Maybe you're starting to feel right in this area that this is a lot of work after all. Keep it up, you can do it. We got 2 more here. Nice and slow. All right, on this next one, I want you to hold it up. So here we are. Tighten in that waist. Watch for stability in the hips. We're going to kick the foot forward for 2 pulses, and then we're going to flex the foot and kick it behind us for 2 pulses. So that looks like this. Kick, kick, and then we flex the foot, pulse, pulse. Remembering to breathe while we do this. We're doing 6 sets of those. So keep all this tight or else you're going to be flopping all over. So engage everything. Leg is long. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Halfway. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Last one. Kick, kick forward, pulse, pulse back. Hold it. Don't drop it. Don't you drop that leg. You keep that leg up there. All right. So now I want you to do tiny little pulses. So we're right here, and we're going to pulse it up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly bring it in front. Massage it out, pat it out, whatever you need to do to get a little bit of relief on that side leg. We're going to stay on this side and do some clams, and then we'll roll over and repeat that set on the other leg. So what that looks like is we're going to bend the knees to about a 45-degree angle. We're going to glue the inner line of our feet together, and then we're going to pop our feet up about right in line with our hip on the mat. And so from here, those feet are going to stay stable, and I want you to keep your hand right here to notice if when you open this leg, do you roll back? I don't want you to roll back so much as I want you to keep your hand here, only open as far, just like we did in our warm-up. Remember those little fancy hip openers? This is why we did them, so that we could remember what that felt like to just open and close the leg. You should feel all kinds of engagement all around this leg, firing up. We're halfway there. We want 8 of these. 3, and 2, and 1. Bring that down. And let's flip on over to the other side. So setting yourself up, it's always worth it to take the time to set yourself up right. If you don't get a good foundation, you're not going to get the best out of your workout. Arm is there as your pillow, body's nice and long. Keep that collarbone wide, abdomen's engaged, nice long leg. Take that leg on the bottom, bent if you need it. And remember, we're lifting and lowering slowly. Lift and lower. We're doing 10 of these. Nice and slow. You're not racing anyone. Leg work is important. That's how we get around in life, right? If we don't have strong legs, we don't get to enjoy being out there gardening and biking and getting to enjoy, hopefully, this lovely weather that's on its way. We're halfway there. Doesn't feel like it this April, does it? Weird snowstorms while sun's shining. It's been crazy. We got 3 more here, guys. 2. Remember what we do on that 10th one? We hold it up. Not that one yet. Okay, here we are. Hold it up. We're doing those fancy kicks. So we're going to make sure that our hips stay steady. And we kick, kick forward, flex the foot, kick, kick back. Inhale, kick, kick. Exhale, kick, kick. Halfway. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Last one. Inhale, exhale. Hold it up. Remember, we can't put it down yet. We're not done. We got to do those pulses in the hold. So here we are. We're going to do tiny little pulses up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly bring it down. Take that relief. You deserve it. All right, let's set ourselves up for those clamshells. So we're bending those knees at a 45-degree angle, inner line of the foot's glued together. Feet are popped up about hip height, top hip height right there. And we open and close for 8, making sure we're not rolling back. We're keeping our hands on that hip to pay attention. All of it's happening in the hip joint. And 3, 4, slow and steady, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring that down, stretch it out. All right, we're gonna move to our whole body challenge. I always like to throw in a little challenge move. And this one is called leg pull up. So I'm actually gonna show you both a modified version and the full version, and I'm gonna take the modification because I struggle with the full version. All right, so if you're really strong and you can do this, what it looks like first, you're set up as a reverse plank. So you'll have your hands where they're either kind of in like this, out, whatever you can do to stabilize your upper body. You're gonna plant those heels, a little bit of bend in the knee, and you're gonna come up into that reverse plank. And then here, having all the stability in your chest, body, and everything, you're gonna plant the left heel, all your weight there, and then you're gonna float up and do 3 kicks. This is really hard for me in this reverse plank position, so what I'm gonna do instead is come into a reverse tabletop. So whichever version you wanna join me in, we're gonna do that together. Same concept applies. We'll come up into a reverse tabletop, holding ourselves very steady, and then we're gonna float one leg out, and we're gonna pump it for 3, 2, 1. Plant that one and get the other one floated up for 3, 2, 1. Whew. That was a challenge. If you couldn't do it, don't worry. That section is just a play. Make sure we can kind of humble ourselves when we get through some of these other things and go, that was easy. We got to make sure that we've got things to look forward to and challenges to work toward. That being said, it's time to cool down. Let's go ahead and do a number 4 stretch on our backs. So come on down to your back, cross one leg over the other, so it has this nice little number 4 shape to it. Put your hand through that center hole, other hand's on the outside of that leg, and just pull that whole unit in toward your body. Breathe here. You don't have to roll up the upper body if that doesn't feel good. You can lay down. You can push that elbow into the bent knee here. Just kind of play with this stretch. It should feel really good after all that sideline work, stretching out all these muscles that we just worked. One more deep breath here. And bring that back down to the mat, uncross, cross the other leg, and bring it on in. Bring it to where you need the stretch. Never push into pain, but it should feel good. A nice release after all the hard work you just did. One more deep breath here. And put that down. Push yourself up through to seated. And we're going to do just a little side stretch, or excuse me, a spine stretch forward. The legs can be nice and straight if you can get a tall spine and feel like those hamstrings aren't really nagging you. If this is too much for you and those hamstrings are too tight, just bend the knees slightly and be right here. Either version you pick. We're all going to be sitting up nice and tall, like we're holding a box out in front of us, and we're not going to collapse down like this. Rather, we're going to feel like we want to reach that box forward over our feet as we stretch and hollow out the tummy, feeling a nice long stretch in the body, and then restack the vertebrae one at a time. You'll find that as you do Pilates a few times, everybody has a little bit different lingo, everybody kind of cues things differently, but ultimately it's all kind of rooted on a lot of the same principles, and that's length and strength and engagement in the core, the powerhouse, trying to find that articulation in the spine. All good things for a good functioning healthy body, no matter what modality of exercise you choose to adhere to. One more here. And restack. And then let's come on together, seated comfortably. We'll do a side stretch next. So legs are just comfortably crossed or out in front of you. We're going to take one hand out to the side, other hand comes up nice and tall, feeling that reach toward the sky first, and then arcing it over to the side. I always use different analogies. Today I'm feeling very rainbowy, so we have a nice beautiful rainbow here. Opening up that side body. Take a deep breath and feel this rib expand, that lung expand. And exhale, back up through center. Other side, reaching tall, rainbow arc over. Nice long body stretch on that side body. Back through center, one more on each side for that. Feels pretty good. Reach up and over. Back through center and up. And over. All right, I like to get us a little rotation in the spine before we end too, so let's go ahead and take those hands up on an inhale, bringing the hands together through to the center by the chest, twist at the torso one way or the other, separate those hands, front hand is on that knee, back hand is behind you, and you're getting into just a nice little gentle rotation, almost like a little corkscrew. You can feel your spine twist and get taller as you come into the twist. Inhale, get a little bit taller. Exhale, bring it back through center. Arms sweep up overhead. Hands come together down through the chest, twisting in the opposite direction. Taking that little extra push into it, feeling our corkscrew lengthen as we inhale and twist. And exhale, come through center. We made it, folks. Let's go ahead and do 3 beautiful deep breaths together to close out our session. Arms can do whatever you want. You can just sit here comfortably, whatever you like. I'm going to go ahead and add the arms for a little bit of flair today. I'm going to inhale up and exhale out and down and up and down. Last one here. Inhale up and out. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you got what you needed today. And gosh darn it, I wish that we could get together in real life, but here we are. Enjoy it, do what you can with it, stay connected.